Hello! Today I'm here to bring you the Author Newbie Tag. This was created by Jenna from Jenna the Dark One, who I will link down below, and I will also link down below Brita, who tagged me, thank you very much. And I will also link down below the Authortube announcement video. So Authortube is a new thing that's happening on BookTube, which is basically just authors talking about their writing. And I find authors talking about writing fascinating, endlessly fascinating. I could watch it for hours. So I'm very excited about this new little subdivision that's going on. So I will get straight into the questions. I am going to be reading them off my computer because preparation has not happened today. So, number one. How did you find out about Authortube? I found out when I was tagged to do this video by Brita. I often make videos about writing, and I do find that they don't seem to be as popular, but I think that's because not everybody on BookTube wants to write. Excuse my doggy, she is trying to get in on the action. So, you know, that's fine, and I understand that if you're not a writer, watching videos about people write can be quite weird and not interesting. But personally, I love it, and I'm very excited about this Authortube situation. Number two, what genres do you write in? I don't write in genres, I write literary fiction. I suppose that's quite a broad genre of itself, but I don't write a specific genre. I would also say now, strangely enough, because I write non-fiction for my job, I write non-fiction as well, which is new to me and quite enjoyable. Number three, what is your preferred writing tense, point of view and category of story? My preferred writing tense has to be third person. I find first person quite difficult to get to grips with. I find it too narrow, so generally I do go for third person. In short stories, my actually favourite writing tense is second person, so you. But I find that that's, when I read that in a novel especially, I find it quite a difficult tense to get to grips with. So in terms of short stories, I really enjoy writing in second person, but it isn't without its flaws, and I certainly wouldn't want to write a novel in it, I don't think. In terms of category of story, I don't really know. Adult, I don't, literary, I don't know. I don't do YA or children's or anything like that, although I have been writing a children's book, which I've been putting on the back burner. So I suppose I've written children's stuff, but generally standard literary adult fiction. Number four, are you a plotter, pantser or plantser? I am a complete pantser. I don't plot at all, which is possibly a problem for me because a lot of the time I'm good at starting novels or getting the ideas for them, and then I get to a certain point and I just don't go any further with it. So I think it would do me good to plan, but I just can't bring myself to plan. I think actually what I'm finding about my writing is that I tend to write a first draft, and that is my plan of sorts. So generally the first draft goes out the window, but it gets me towards the point where I can start writing the proper draft, which is the second draft. So my planning is writing drafts, I suppose, but again, it's still pantsing and it's not the best, but that's what I do. Number five, are you published, self-published or yet to be published? I am kind of getting published. I'm getting a few things picked up online and in blogs and things, which is exciting. I've got something coming up. It's going to be published in March, I think, which is really exciting. So I'm starting to get stuff published, but I haven't got anything official published or a book published. But there is time and hopefully it'll happen one day. Number six is kind of irrelevant to me because it's about what publishing company or agent or whatever you're involved with. No one at the moment, but one day, as I say, one day it will happen. Number seven, what Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? Probably just the stuff that I've already been doing, to be honest. I've done a few nano videos and I've done a day in the life of writing vlog, and I do sort of try and keep you guys updated on how my writing's going. If anything did start to happen, I would probably do a video about that as well. Let me know if there's any other videos that you would like me to make about my writing, and I will see what I can do. And number eight, when did you start writing? I've always sort of written, but I think it was when I was around 21 that I seriously wanted to be a writer. However, because I was working pretty much full time, I didn't put as much effort into my writing as I wanted to. For those of you who've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that this year I took 6 months off and I dedicated that solely to writing. I'm now in employment again and trying to sort of manoeuvre that with my writing. I'm feeling a bit down about writing at the moment, purely because I'm trying to get to the place where I'm doing my job and doing my writing I think I will get there. I think having had the 6 months to do my writing has helped me develop myself and my processes, so hopefully I will start writing more. But yeah, probably I'd say in the last year I've seriously considered myself a writer, because I've got quite a backlog behind me, whereas before I was writing sort of, say, 3 short stories a year where I was trying to do it between work. This year I've come up with about 10, so it's greatly increased in the past year. But yeah, from 21 I knew I wanted to be a writer. In terms of when I've written, I've always written, really. I've always jotted down things, you know, I've done the angsty poetry stuff, and when I was younger than that I used to write stories all the time, so I've always written, but seriously, since I was 21. Number 9, what was the first story you ever wrote? God knows, I mean, how far back are we going? Because there's a lot of them. The first story I seriously wrote after I decided that I wanted to become a writer was a story about a girl whose dad was in a coma and she was trying to come to terms with that. It's probably not good now. I mean, I did rework it a few years ago. It's not necessarily the kind of thing that I would want to write now, but at the time it was something that had happened to a friend of mine, and I was sort of, it was the first time that I was intrigued into delving into how somebody would feel in a situation that I myself hadn't been in, and it was quite an interesting process just in terms of getting to grips with characterisation and putting yourself very much in the head of the character. So that's the first story that I wrote after I decided that I wanted to become a writer. 10. What authors have inspired your writing the most? This is a difficult one because obviously everything you read is going to inspire you, whether it's to say that's not what I want to do or whether it's to give you a tip or a hint. But in terms of authors that have actually inspired me in my writing journey, I don't really know, because it's difficult to say. That when I was like 17, I'd say that Jack Kerouac and William Burroughs had a huge inspiration on my writing. I don't necessarily like them as authors now, and I don't necessarily enjoy their books anymore, but I think when I was first reading them when I was a teenager, it was the first time that I'd seen different things done with language, and it really inspired me. Especially I remember reading Naked Lunch, and for ages afterwards my writing was very Burrough-esque and kind of that stream of consciousness, almost slang, dirty, grubby language, which is not a bad thing, and I think they're worth reading if you haven't experienced language that's done a bit differently. But in terms of now, I'd say my main inspirations are probably people like Ali Smith and Jeanette Winterson, purely because they do different things with language and they find a way of really getting to the nitty-gritty. And let's not forget that we have to mention John McGregor, because though I do not claim that I could ever write like that, I find him, again, fascinating for what he does with language, but also just the way he writes so poetically. It's absolutely gorgeous. So he's an inspiration as well. But I'd say mainly in terms of what writers I see myself as being like in the future, hopefully, I'd say Jeanette Winterson and Ali Smith. I really enjoy their subject matter, and I enjoy the way they explore themes. And yeah, they are everything. Talking of, I'm going to see Jeanette Winterson this week, so very, very excited. Number 11, do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? That's actually an interesting question now that I've started my job and I am having to schedule my writing. When I was on my 6 months off, I used to do writing 9 till 4 every day and then go for a walk to clear my head. But now that I'm working 9 till 5, it's very difficult. So I've actually been doing Nano this month. I don't know if you've been following that. I will link a video I made about that down below. And the reason I've chosen to do Nano when I'm so busy at the moment is because I wanted to get into the habit of writing in the evenings, and I think I've achieved that. I tend to sit down at 6 and write until 7, and I'm trying to be quite harsh with my writing and just type. Because normally what I would do is sit there and procrastinate and and write every little sentence really intricately, and I'm finding that I can't do that now that I don't have much time. So I'm literally doing an hour in the evenings and trying to get like 1,000 words out every evening. I don't know yet how it's going to go because I haven't yet read back anything that I've written, but we'll see. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I am having to schedule just because I don't have the time. Then number 12, do you type on a computer, typewriter, write everything out by hand, or use a blend? And where do you write in general? In terms of how I do my writing, at the moment I'm writing on the computer purely for speed. I find with a novel it's quite difficult not to do that because you're working with such a large amount of words if you write it by hand, you're going to be there for years and it just isn't practical. For short stories, I like to write it out in a pad, and my pad is sort of my place where I don't judge myself. So I write everything, and that's where I get my ideas and it gets my brain flowing, and then I put it together on the computer. I do prefer to write by hand. I think it's much more inspirational, and it's how, if I'm really stuck with a story and I start brainstorming or jotting down some ideas in a pad, I will find that I get to places much quicker and in a much more effective way than I would if I was on the computer. I think there's something very impersonal about a computer screen, but at the moment, because time is pushed, as I say, I am writing on the computer, but in general, it's pads for me. And in terms of where I write, at the moment it's in my bed, because I have got a study, but I'm in there all day doing my job, so I no longer write in there. That is where I wrote when I was on my 6 months off, and it was really nice to have that space to go to and harbour my creativity. But now I just do it in my bedroom, because after I've been in my study all day, I do not want to be in there writing as well. And number 13, what are you most looking forward to now that you're part of Authortube? I'm looking forward to all the authoring videos, to be honest. I always enjoy authoring videos, as I said at the beginning, and it is very exciting that there is now this community. I also am looking forward to getting to talk to people about writing, because I don't know anyone in my real life who writes or is particularly interested in my writing, so it'll be nice to be able to talk with people and get their say on things. And yeah, that's about it. Videos and friends. So that is the Authortube Newbie Tag. I am not going to tag anyone. I'm just going to say, if you're a writer, do this, get involved in this community, because it's really exciting. Any writery friends like Katie from Books and Things, Angelica from Mercury Calling, you guys should jump on this. But yeah, anybody who's a writer, just get involved, do this tag, and take a look at the Authortube community. So I will see you next time. Bye.